Joran van der Sloot, the main suspect in Natalee Holloway's disappearance, was extradited from Peru to the U.S. to face charges of extortion and wire fraud against Holloway's mother. Van der Sloot had been serving a 28-year prison sentence in Peru for the murder of Stephanie Flores, a young woman he met at a casino in Lima, and he confessed to killing her in his hotel room after she discovered his connection to the Holloway case. Holloway was an 18-year-old American student who vanished in Aruba in 2005 during a graduation trip. She was last seen leaving a nightclub with Van der Sloot and 2 other men. Her body was never found, and Van der Sloot was never charged in her death or disappearance. However, he tried to profit from his involvement in the case by demanding money from Holloway's mother, Beth Holloway, in exchange for information about her daughter's whereabouts. He received $25,000 from Beth Holloway after providing false information, according to U.S. prosecutors. In 2010, he was indicted by a federal grand jury in Alabama on charges of wire fraud and extortion. The Peruvian authorities agreed to extradite him to the U.S. after he completed his sentence for the murder of Flores. However, Van der Sloot tried to appeal the extradition, claiming that he had not received a fair trial in Peru and that he had been mistreated by the prison authorities. He also said that he had married a Peruvian woman and fathered a child while in prison, and that he wanted to stay with his family. His appeal was rejected by the Peruvian Supreme Court, which said that he had voluntarily waived his right to oppose the extradition when he signed an agreement with the U.S. government. The court also said that he had received due process and legal assistance in Peru. On June 8, 2023, Van der Sloot was transferred from his prison in Lima to the airport, where he was handed over to FBI agents who escorted him on a flight to Alabama. He arrived in Birmingham around 2:30 p.m. local time and was taken into custody by U.S. Marshals. He appeared before a federal judge the next day and pleaded not guilty to the charges of extortion and wire fraud. He faces up to 25 years in prison if convicted. He also faces a possible civil lawsuit from Beth Holloway, who is seeking $10 million in damages for emotional distress. Van der Sloot's extradition marked a new chapter in the long-running mystery of Natalee Holloway's fate, which has captivated millions of people around the world. It also raised hopes that he might finally reveal what he knows about her disappearance and bring some closure to her family. Joran van der Sloot was not only the prime suspect in Natalee Holloway's disappearance, but also a convicted murderer of another woman in Peru. In 2010, 5 years after Holloway vanished in Aruba, Van der Sloot killed 21-year-old Stephanie Flores in his Lima hotel room. He confessed to the crime and was sentenced to 28 years in prison. Van der Sloot was serving his sentence at the Calapalca prison in Peru, a remote and harsh facility near the Bolivian border. But in June 2023, he was transferred to another prison in Lima, where he awaited his extradition to the United States. The reason for his extradition was that he faced charges of extortion and wire fraud in Alabama, where Holloway's family lived. He was accused of trying to extort money from Holloway's mother by offering false information about her daughter's fate. He allegedly received $25,000 from her in exchange for revealing the location of Holloway's body. But Van der Sloot never delivered on his promise. Instead, he used the money to travel to Peru, where he met and killed Flores. He later claimed that he killed her because she found out about his involvement in Holloway's case. Van der Sloot lost his appeal against his extradition and was handed over to FBI agents on June 8. He was flown to Alabama, where he faced a federal trial for his crimes. If convicted, he could face up to 25 years in prison. But even if he was found guilty, he would not stay in the U.S. for long. Peru agreed to temporarily relocate him to the U.S., but only on the condition that he would return to Peru after his trial and serve the rest of his sentence there. Van der Sloot's extradition marked a new chapter in the long and tragic saga of Natalee Holloway's disappearance. It also raised new questions about what really happened to her and whether justice would ever be served.